Okay, so as you've just heard, we're being recorded, so just beware. I'll just call for apologies for a start off, and I don't think there are any.
No, there are. Sorry, Councillor Cowie's got a lambing beat, so he did say at the start of the day that he'd have to be gone by 5, so he's asked me to put an apology in.
Okay, so we've got one apology. Can we have somebody move that we accept that apology? Okay, we've got His Worship the Mayor and Councillor Ludeman. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? No. All right, so are there any declarations of interest? No urgent business, I'm assuming. And I don't believe we've got anybody in the public forum, have we? I can't see, but I don't think so. So with that, I think we'll just move right on to item number 1. Page 6, it's the management accounts report. I don't know that Sharon's on, but John, are you stepping up to the mark for this one, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. If we have a look at page 7, we'll see the income and expenditure for the year to date. This is before audit, so it may change. The revenue or the income is about 7.8 million above budget, and that's mainly due to an extra 5 million or so in grants and an extra 4 million to do with the gains on Nico. On the expenditure side, we are 4.6 million above budget, mainly because we've got 3 million overspent in operating expenditure and 2 million in roading. The net effect of that is we are $3 million better off in terms of the surplus for the year than budgeted. So any questions on that?
Thank you, John. And we do have a question from Councillor Foster.
Oh, no, sorry.
No.
Sorry. No.
Sorry, false alarm. So any questions, councillors? Any questions, councillors? Please put your hand up. No questions?
Yeah.
Well, I take it that we have got one question. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah.
If you'd like to speak, Joanne, turn your microphone on.
Sorry, hand up instead of being down.
Again, okay, so we'll take it that everyone's pretty happy about that. So can I have somebody move that the Corporate and Property Committee receives the management accounts report? We've got Councillor Thompson and Councillor Sutherland. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
I think it looks pretty unanimous, thanks. If you can take your hands down, and I'll just ask if there was anybody against. But I think that's all clear. So thank you for that, John. We'll move on to item number 2, the investment portfolio update report. Again, not sure whether Greg's on board with us or not, but John, it'll be one of the two. Who's speaking to us?
Just carry on there, Chair. Page 11, we've made 409,000 in July, which is good. You can see the breakdown on page 12. We're running ahead of budget, and long may it last.
Good. Okay, so we've got a question here from Councillor Herbert.
It was actually a question running through my mind. I didn't realise I had my hand up, but look, I suppose last time we went through a lockdown, we were all sort of shivered in our boots, wondering what was going on, and we had a very pleasing response. And I'm just wondering when we'd have some information on how this lockdown is going to treat us. What's the earliest when you get the August results, John?
We got the August results today. I think them. Let me just have a look at them quickly. And the total. And the statement of our holdings at the end of August was 32,451,325. 32,451. So, and we had 0.92. So it's another 400,000. So,
Wow.
Happy
Yeah.
days.
yeah, happy days. Yeah.
Further questions, councillors? No more questions? Oh, well, can we have a mover and a seconder for the investment portfolio report? Somebody prepared to move? Councillor Fouts, His Worship Cadogan, thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye. That's unanimous. No further questions? Or anybody against? No further questions. Okay. So community libraries report, and we've got Debbie here today, and she's going to talk about the strategic alignment, and also we've got Tiffany who's our community heritage coordinator. So I'll just open the floor up for Debbie to speak to her report for a start off, I think. So Debbie, all over to you.
Oh, thanks, Ken. And hello, everyone. I know you've probably had a really, really long afternoon, so I'm going to try not to talk too long. Firstly, I'd like to apologise for the gremlins that somehow hit our formatting on this report. We had it great. Lily did a good job formatting it, and somehow it didn't get into the system the right way. But the content is okay. I'd just like to say that I'm really pleased. You know, we had an amazing month in July. Our figures were really high, both for visitor numbers and for our issues and use of resources across the month. And I think it really reflects the work that we've been doing over the last 12 months to look at how we can better meet the needs of our local communities and modernise our services so we're giving people what they need. So I'm not going to talk much more about that, and I'm happy to answer any questions. But I would like to share a presentation with you that really shows how we actually connect with or align with Council's strategic direction. So I'm going to share my screen with you and get on with that. And then as soon as I finish, I'll answer any questions about the report, and I'll leave the heritage component of it to Tiffany, who will not only give you an update on where we're at with the Clutha Heritage Repository, she's going to actually share what it looks like and some of the things that she's been putting on it for you. So hopefully this all works. Let me know if it doesn't. So can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so this has been put together really, this work comes from the whole team, all of our staff across all of our facilities. And this is really the culmination at a high level of the work that we've been doing over the last 12 months. So I'll just take you through it and start with the obvious thing. Why are we even doing this? And there's a number of reasons. And these are the three main ones. Firstly, I need to sorry, I'm just going to minimize all those screens there so that I can see the screen. Right. Firstly, when I looked through the previous LTPs and other strategic documents, there really hasn't been anything to date that really describes the role of libraries and service centres, what their purpose is, what their outcomes are, and how they actually fit with Council's wider strategic direction and priorities. We have another issue, is that our current description of facilities and services causes lots of confusion. And at the end of the day, we have the same budgets, staff and buildings, but we have two separate names. So that's one of our issues. And another one is that modern public libraries don't just lend books, they provide a range of programs and access to a wide range of services. And that includes council services and other organisations. So we may have people who come in to see us and they may pay their rates or get a dog registration, but they might want to access a government agency service as well, or they might want to borrow some books or attend a program. And people do all of those things when they come into our facilities. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history. This will take some of you back. And back in 1989, many of you will remember that we had the local government amalgamation, the last big one. And this is really the genesis for our current services. So this when the amalgamations happened, Clutha did what many other districts around the country did, where they had previous boroughs or county councils. Councils established service centres. And that was the primary function of those was to retain a level of council customer services in those small towns. And back in the day, libraries tended to be part of them. They were just added. But they were book lending libraries. And you can see those great big shelves there. And also back in 1989, everything was paper-based. You know, we still had things like carbon paper, and you can see the back of the old book there that's still got the old date due card. I mean, those haven't been used for many years. So 1989 model was service centres with books primarily. But along came the 1990s, which the digital revolution, and it's had huge impacts, as you'll all know. For us in the libraries and service centres area, it's really that content and services have been increasingly moving online. So what the information that was once held on paper isn't there anymore. It's sitting on databases, or services are being provided electronically. Now, this has had two primary impacts for communities. The first is for lots of people, digital has really provided an opportunity for people to be more independent, has provided opportunities for new ways to do things, to work smarter, and it's provided a lot of experiences. And obviously without it, we wouldn't be doing the Zoom meeting this afternoon. For libraries, what this has meant is that a lot of what used to be on paper is now on digital platforms. But it's also meant that a lot of the traditional library users who were literate, who used to come in and read books or get information, are now doing a lot of that online. They're lending ebooks or borrowing ebooks or accessing information. So for lots of people, it's been amazing. But as many of you will know, the downside of that is that we have really high levels of digital exclusion, and this is a major social and economic issue for many. And obviously in the COVID situation right now, it's just exacerbated, and we've been seeing it heavily over the last 12 months, particularly amongst our seniors. So we've been looking to see, okay, how do we get the best value? How can we provide really good outcomes for the community? And so today's libraries are quite different. Today's are really focused on that second group of people, the people who tend to be socially and digitally excluded. And we do that by making our spaces more welcoming and safe, and delivering community services and programs that support people in a number of ways, and particularly to learn, to connect, create and celebrate our local stories. And these are just, I mean, you may have seen some of these photos and reports, but these are just events that have happened in July throughout our libraries. The sewing machine there is in Lawrence. We've got Owaka on the top right, and Lawrence again at the bottom with the yoga tails. And the bottom right is the Camera Club in the Belclutha Library. So our libraries aren't just spaces for books anymore. They're about people, and the books and resources support that. So bringing it up a level. Now, some of you might be very familiar with the picture in the centre here. This is obviously Council's strategic direction. It's the infographic for that. What we've done is work together as a team to look at how we connect as libraries, council customer services, and visitor information as well. So we help people essentially, and we looked at what are council's priorities, what are the things that you've signed off on as part of the long-term plan. And for us, the three core or key priorities for us that council is looking at, that our jobs are filled. We put a lot of work into supporting job seekers in particular who come in to use our equipment. We work with Job Opportunities, MSD. others to help support job seekers, healthy and safe communities. Well, everything we do really sits under that, and obviously supporting culture and heritage, because at the end of the day, libraries are cultural facilities. The section in the white underneath that darker blue are the outcomes that our libraries and service centres, visitor information teams see as being really important to us. Those are the community outcomes that we're particularly interested in supporting. And then in the darker orange around the side, those are our priority areas, and they're the things that we're working on. And it's really neat to see something in a really simple infographic like this, and to think that we have spent 12 months working on this, and we have work plans that sit under each of these there's 6 priority areas. So what does this mean? It means that we've decided to drop the library service centre name, and we're going to refer to our libraries as community libraries. We won't be changing any of the services. We will be doing more with our local people. And it's about each branch reflecting the needs and aspirations of their own local communities. And then just to wrap up, the implementation is really operational, and it'll be progressive, and we still need to work through that. So that's pretty much it on that. So happy to answer any questions on anything before I hand over to Tiffany.
Well, councillors, have you got any questions? Firstly, perhaps on Debbie's report, and then maybe on the presentation, or as they come, perhaps the questions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see too many hands. Oh, here we go. Here's Bruce Graham's got a question for you. Councillor Graham.
Yeah, this is, I've been meaning to ask this for quite a long time. Why is there no library service in Kai? Is it because it's proximity to Balclutha, or is it a choice they made way back? Or it's always puzzled me why, and you're pointing out all these good things to do with libraries, but there's I've always wondered why there isn't, apart, they run their own bit of a library, but why there isn't any other services than that. Is that something you know, Debbie, or is it something that's historical that it's buried somewhere?
I can't be certain, Bruce, but I suspect it's historical. I think from what I can tell, the libraries are all situated in areas where there were service centres established as part of the boroughs. Because I know the district has had, like many rural districts and even some of the bigger towns, have had way back had volunteer local little libraries that have slowly moved into council services as technology and things sort of overtakes them. And just on that note, I know I've been advised verbally that the Waihola volunteer library is folding up shortly. So we've been supporting them, but we're happy to look at how we can address things, but obviously it's a council decision in terms of where libraries are situated in need.
Thank you.
Another question from Councillor Sutherland.
Another question, just well done, Debbie. Great to see the school holiday program and the variety that you have in it.
Oh, thank you. The team put a lot of thought into those, and yeah, we're really looking to build them. One of the key features, which I mentioned in the report, is with our programs, there are specific library programs that are delivered by staff, and that's the right thing to do, but there's others where people can connect and learn things, and we can work best by working with other organisations. And you'll notice in the report there's we're starting to do that. You can see some of those reports, some of those programs where it talks about we're working in partnership with others, and we really see that growing.
All right, one more question. I see Councillor Feltz has got his hands up. So, Councillor Feltz.
Thank you, through the chair. It's not really a question. I'd just like to pass on my thoughts of well done, Debbie, and I'd just really like to acknowledge your efforts of you and your team, because it's really exciting to see that you're trying to put the library into the community and extending the life of the library. Because I think without your input, I could see the direction that it would have been going, and it's not the right way. So just well done, and keep it up. And I like your direction of where you're trying to set the, like I say, the direction of the community library is great. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Finch.
Thank you. Agree with Wayne completely. When is the first library going to change its name, Debbie? And is that going to be Clutha, and is it going to be advertised in the paper? And that was a really good report you took us through about explaining the whys and wherefores. Well done.
Oh, thank you. As I mentioned in that last slide, we've got to work out the operational aspects of the changes. So we still have to really plan exactly how we're going to do it. I wanted to bring this, we took it to staff at the full staff meeting just before we went into lockdown, and then I wanted to present it to you before we look at heading any further. So yes, it'll be progressive, and I'll let you know as it happens, because we haven't decided yet.
Lovely, thank you.
Councillor Vollweiler.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just on seeing that infographic for the first time, Debbie, just congratulations. I think that's the direction that you're taking the library, or the community libraries now. It's very forward-looking, but it also caters to some of the older fossils whose names are Bruce in the district too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions, councillors? No more questions? Okay, then. Well, again, I'd just say thanks very much for that presentation on the strategic alignment, Debbie. Fantastic. I mean, you're going to make us look good. It's I see it as a vehicle to implementing our strategic plans. So thanks very much. So with that, I'll just ask for a mover and a seconder that we receive the report from the community. Oh, sorry, we've got Tiffany to go first.
Yes. Thank you.
Apologies. Yeah, apologies. I've got a whole lot of hands up now. It was worthwhile talking, but yeah, sorry. Tiffany next before we close off. Yeah.
Cool. I'll just start sharing my screen. There we go.
Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Going to cut you out.
Can you all see that?
No.
Sweet.
Yep.
So as Debbie said, my name's Tiffany Jenks, and I'm the Community Heritage Coordinator with our libraries team. I facilitate the new Clutha Heritage website. So today I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the site, sort of an interaction demo type thing. I'm going to let you know a bit of what I've been up to in the last couple of months, and then give you an idea of what's going to happen in the next wee while. So we'll just get straight into it. I'll click on this link and hopefully you should be able to see the website coming up. Hopefully some of you have already taken a look at it, but this is what it looks like when you first click into it. You've got this banner scrolling through that sort of gives people an indicator of the kind of content that we have up on the site. As it scrolls through, you'll notice that there's both historic and contemporary content. The idea behind contemporary collecting is we just want to get ahead of the game and collect while things are actually happening, rather than trying to scramble to remember it in the future. So if we just scroll down here, we've got a bit of a blurb introducing people to the site. We've got a nice big search bar, which is good for our elderly folk, and it's also good for people that have sight impairment. This bar along here gives you a bit of an idea of the sorts of formats that we can share on the site. Then down here we have a big interactive map of our district. One of the interesting things about the Clutha district is we have so many little towns all over the place. Some might see them as ghost towns now, but actually back in the day they had quite a lot of people living there. Take Tahakopa, for example. People nearly fall off their seats when I tell them, 800 people used to live in and around Tahakopa when the sawmills and the railway and that were operating. And the thing about that is that those people aren't here anymore, but their descendants, they still connect back to these places, and they're going to be looking for where their people came from, where they once were, and they're hopefully going to be wanting to visit our district as well in recognition of their history. So the idea behind this map is it gives people an idea of actually how many places we have in our district, and you'll see that there's lots of numbers here, and if you click into them, you get a more in-depth amount of places. B, it's allows people to easily navigate to the exact areas that they want to look at, but also if you're a person that's familiar with the district, it's actually quite fun to click in and discover what we have on the site with different places. And then down the bottom here, we have what are called collections. So collections, the website's very good at linking together themes. I've sort of tried to link together key narratives in our district. For example, the railways one down here. The idea behind this is that it makes it easier for people that are researching specific topics. It makes it easier for people that are interested in specific topics. And from my perspective, it also makes it easier for me to promote the site as well. An example of this is that I shared a link for the railway collection onto the library's Facebook page. And from there, I shared it onto the Ghost Railways of Otago Facebook page, which is a page that has a mass following, because of course you guys will be aware that railways have, you know, really great enthusiasts who absolutely love railway history. So in doing that, it enabled me to share that aspect of our heritage with a group of people that absolutely love this kind of content. Cool. So if we go back up the top here, there's lots of ways that you can navigate the website. I'm just going to show you the format. So this here gives you an idea of the types of items that we can share on the site. And I'm just going to show you the Lawrence Fire Brigade organizational record. If we come down here. The reason why I'm showing you this record is that it's a really good example of how things all link together, but it also has quite a diversity of content. So you can see here all the sorts of items that have been linked, and then on the right here we've got the subjects that all link in. Then we've got images. We scroll down, we've got documents, so archives. These here are really interesting. They're attendance books that date between 1893 and 1979. So they hold information like specific dates about when people joined, what meetings people attended, what fires they attended, what medals they received. So if any of you know anyone that was in the brigade during that time, they'll be really interesting for you. We can share objects, and then we have video and audio content. At the moment on this record, we have Kath Geddes' oral history. Kath's husband, Gerald, he was a chief of the brigade for quite a long time, which is why her oral history connects to this record. I've also recorded an oral history with Gordy Wallace, who joined the brigade when he was 16 in 1960. So he's been a member for over 50 years. And that's a really interesting oral history, but unfortunately I haven't been able to load it up yet because it's currently stuck in the Lawrence Library. So once we're at level 2, that'll be up there for you guys to have a look at as well. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, that was a really brief introduction to the site, and I'd really encourage you guys to go have a look for yourself, because I'm sure there's going to be some stuff on there that you're interested in. One of the unique aspects of the site is that anyone can load content, anyone can comment, anyone can tag names, anyone can suggest an edit, and anyone can learn to use our digitization equipment. You'll see on the right hand side here, this is an image of Jude Patterson. She's the chief of the fire brigade in Lawrence, and this is an image of her digitizing those attendance books using our overhead capture equipment. While she did that, I was able to prepare for photographing the 3D objects and the framed works, the helmets, that kind of thing. And then she worked with me to upload all the content to the site. So there's an image there in the center of us doing that. And then one Friday night when we're out of lockdown, the brigade, they have drinks on a Friday night at the station, and she's going to pick the brains of the members to add more information to these records using that suggest and edit function. Anyone can drop into the library and visit me and learn how to interact with the site. Anyone can learn how to use the equipment. It's really easy. I just give you a 5-minute tutorial and then you're away laughing. That's what Colin Childs did. Colin's here on the left-hand side. So Colin's a member of the Tuapeka Mouth Heritage Hub, and he came into the Lawrence Library to digitize some of their the biographies they hold in their collection for preservation's sake. So one of the cool things about anyone being able to upload is that we can draw content and stories from all over the place. And this goes back to that, you know, people might not live in the district anymore, but they still connect back here. So these two items on the screen now, they come from the Wright family. So the Wright family, they settled a farm just north of Allwaka around the Duttons Bridge area in 1910. And they farmed there for about 60 years, but they left to live in North Canterbury in the 1970s. But they still hold a treasure trove of stuff connecting to our district. And so they were able to, even though they're in North Canterbury, they were able to share their history, and that connects to our history on the site. And I absolutely love this picture down here for those of you that are familiar with the Catlins area. You know, this land up here is all clear now, so it's pretty cool to be able to see all that bush. So we'll move into the what have I been doing lately section of the talk. I've spent about 2 months working up in Lawrence, in the Lawrence community, sharing their stories. And what's been really interesting there is that it's the smaller places that want to share their stories. So we've got content connecting to Watahuna, Beaumont, Evans Flat, Tuapeka Flat, Tuapeka West, Waipori, and of course content connecting to Lawrence as well. And our communities, they don't just live in isolation. So even though I've only been working in one community so far, we've actually got content from all over the district just by working in that one community. Yeah, so Margaret Healy, she's the, I guess you could call her the guardian of the Beaumont memorabilia room. And she reflected to me that it's mainly older women that engage with heritage. And at the start of the project, I would have said yes, that she was right, because at the start of the project, it was mainly older women keen to share the collections and their history of what they have. But more recently, we've had men engaging with the project too, older men. So David Grant, the day before we went into lockdown, he came into the Lawrence Library and he brought a whole heap of transport and agricultural images to share. He drove for Somerville's transport in the 1970s. Somerville transport is now what you would know as Tuapeka transport. Yeah, so unfortunately, I haven't been able to put those images up, but they'll be there for you to see when we're out of lockdown as well. We're getting quite a lot of engagement through social media. According to those stats, it's mainly women between the ages of 25 and 55. They love creating conversation around the content that we have, and that's really fun to see. And then actually on the site itself, it tends to be middle-aged men engaging. So we're getting this really interesting cross-section of age groups and people who are all interacting and sharing on the site, which is really nice to see, especially with our aging demographic. It's nice to see the differences in people interacting. And in the future, I'm hoping to have other cultural material on there, which we can share in the form of immigration stories and that kind of thing. So as you can see on this graph on the screen here, people really engaging with the site. Last week, we had nearly 700 people looking at it, so 699 to be specific. Lockdown might have had a bit to do with that. People have free time on their hands. But, you know, that's really cool to see. I also think the interest of the media has a bit to do with it. So the Clutha Leader has done 3 articles about the project so far, which has led to content creation. It's led to community engagement. It's led to a lot of community awareness. And I know that because I keep getting approached in the supermarket. People come up to me that, oh, you Tiffany, I saw you in the Leader. So it's nice that they're interested, but it's also nice that they feel comfortable that they can approach me. And it's not just local awareness and interest. We're getting a lot of interest nationally. We've been contacted by a number of libraries who want to emulate what we're doing in the Clutha district. And we've also got a lot of interest from the wider GLAM sector. So GLAM stands for Galleries, Libraries, Archives and Museums. So later on in the year, I got shoulder tapped to speak at 2 conferences. So I'll be doing that later on in the year. That's the New Zealand Conservators of Cultural Material Conference and the National Digital Forum, which is pretty exciting that we're getting such big attention. Locally, speaking engagements have also been very popular. I've done a number of speaking engagements, including one with senior students from the Clutha Valley School. And one of the kids was like, oh, we should put the punt up. So one day I'm going to have to go up and take my camera up to the punt and maybe do a video of it operating and share that on the site. What's been really special is the connections that we're making with our community. On the slide here, you'll see some screenshots of some of the conversations that have been happening via social media. There's some funny ones. If you look, this one up here, I think this guy used to have a good mop of hair, but he doesn't anymore. I'll draw your attention to this one here in the center. This has got to do with an interaction that I had with Ange Anderson and Jane Soper. You should know them. They work for council. They're sisters. They connect to the Lawrence Beaumont area. And I put a photograph up of that shiny brass firefighter's helmet. I put that up on the Facebook page and I asked our audience to guess who I was going to be working with up in Lawrence next. And Ange guessed the fire brigade, and she said, you know, our dad, he joined the brigade when he was 18, and I was able to show her specifically in those attendance books exactly when her dad joined in on the 18th of December 1962, and you can see their reaction down here. You know, thank you so much, and like tagging all their family and stuff. So, you know, really excited. And at that joint council meeting that we had, I was talking to Ange about this, and she said, you know, that brought a tear to my eye, being able to see that. And she's not the only council staff member to have said that. You'll see here Sharon Cousins, her family connects to Waitahuna, and some of the content around Waitahuna history that we've digitized gave her that same reaction. What's really powerful is actually that in-person connection that we're making. I'll just tell you one story. I've got lots of stories about this, but I know it's been a long meeting, so I'll just tell you one about Esme Paul. Esme lived in Wairahuna for about 56 years. And in her retirement, she shifted into Lawrence. And then in June, she shifted into the Lawrence Hospital. This was a really difficult period for Esme. I should say she's 97 years old, so it's incredible that at 97 she was still living in her own home. But this process was really difficult for Esme. She, downsizing your stuff, getting rid of stuff that's connected to your life, that's connected to people that you've cared about, is really difficult. And her daughters, they brought in a box of stuff to do with Wairahuna Lone Cubs. So Esme was a cub leader for decades. If any of you know anything about Scouts, she was given the title Akela Esme. And her daughters were brought in this box of stuff to do with the Lone Scouts to the library for Jeanette to put on display at the Wairahuna Hall. And Jeanette said, well, we've got this new thing called Clutha Heritage. Would you mind if we shared it on there? And they jumped at this. They felt like it was a way of sharing and acknowledging their mum's life. And they thought it would buoy her up a bit in, this difficult time. And also they thought she might be interested in doing an oral history. So I digitized the stuff, I put it up on the site, and then I went and visited Esme at the hospital, and I showed her the items I'd put up, and her daughters were right, she got a kick out of it. And unfortunately, she wasn't up for recording an oral history. Being 97 years old, that makes one very tired. But we sat together and we shared a cup of tea and a biscuit while we listened to the oral history I recorded with Elaine Crawford about the history of Wairahuna. And Esme, she sat there and she'd nod and she'd laugh and she'd tell me a little snippet about something that Elaine had said. And afterwards, she talked about her family, the photographs on the wall in the hospital, and showed me her knitting. And in an unexpected way, Clutha Heritage helped transition a 97-year-old's life from independence into care. So
Tiffany, look at this is the chair. It's Ken. Look, I hate to be the ogre, but we have been going all day, and I just wonder whether. And look, I love the enthusiasm and what you're doing and everything, but I just wonder whether you would like to round off, because we have still got an agenda to finish off before we can let everybody go tonight. So just wonder, and I do once again apologise for cutting you short, but we do need, if you want to round off in some way, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll just finish by saying that we already have community interest in Milton, so I'll be going to Milton next for a couple of months. Then it's looking like I'll go to Ōwaka, and then probably Kaitangata, and then Tapanui. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are keen to share their heritage, so I'm really excited to work with our communities and share their stories.
Fantastic. Have we got some questions from councillors? You may have to take your the shared screen down, please.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I've got one from Councillor Thompson.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. Really interesting, and it's good to see some really good heritage work going on. Just a question that I have. Over the years, there's been many small townships have produced books and all sorts of things, Purua and Waitapika, and I'm sure every town's got at least one or two. Are those books that have already been printed, are they going to be put onto somehow, or can they be loaded onto that digital format?
They could. We would require copyright permission from the authors or the author's descendants. But if they have no problem with that, then we could put them up, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Finch.
Thank you, Tiffany. It's absolutely amazing. Love your enthusiasm. And on behalf of all our communities, you're doing a great job. So good to see all that history go for the future generations. I wish my mum had still been alive. There's so much history to share in every community, and it's just wonderful. Well done.
Thank you.
Your worship.
Cheers, Mr. Chair. Hey, Tiffany, I absolutely love the presentation and the enthusiasm. I've lived in this district all my life, and quite embarrassingly, in recent years, I'm realising that the story of mana whenua in our district is not only do I not know it, but the bits that I know are dead wrong. And I was thinking when you were doing the presentation, how some of our older kamatua with the oral history, I haven't seen it, and I don't know. If we don't grab it pretty soon, it'll be gone. Do you have any plan to actually focus on our mana whenua story?
Yes, yeah, I'm hoping to do that. Yeah, that's I had hoped in the last couple of weeks to do an oral history with a kaumatua in Kaka Point. She's 90, I want to say 94. So yeah, there are plans in the pipeline for that.
I was going to suggest that you do go down to there because I know who you'll be meaning at 94.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I can't remember his name, but the old guy that looks after the cemetery down there.
Oh no, I was thinking of Rona.
Yeah, no, definitely go to Rona.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking, I can't remember the guy's name, but that's by the by. Good on you, and love what you're doing, and thanks for the presentation.
Cool. If you do remember his name, send me an email.
Can anyone think of it from Kaka Point? The old guy with the tats looked after the cemetery. He's a brilliant guy.
Is it Scott? Mr. Scott?
Nah. It's got a short name like Tiff or Jake or something.
Taffy or Tammy?
Tam, well done. Tam.
Yeah.
Tam Scott.
Tam, well done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tam Scott.
Yeah. Okay, so there is another question from Councillor Foster. So, Mel. Can't hear you, Mel. Have you got your... Still nothing, Mel. Are you there, Mel?
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Hear me now? Yeah. I was just going to say, just a quick one to say, yeah, Tiffany's done a fantastic job in Lawrence, and I know it's generated a lot of interest. But just to emphasise how important it is to get these stories from our elderly residents. Esme Paul, who you talked about, I see on Facebook, she actually died late last week. So
really?
you know,
Oh, no.
yeah. So yeah, timing is critical, and no, you'll be sorry to hear that, but it just sort of emphasises how important this is. So yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Further questions, councillors? No, look, that looks like that's a bit of a wrap. So, hey, Tiffany, thank you very much. And you're oozing enthusiasm. It's fantastic. There's one direction I want to point you into, and it's just the local runanga with the Wileys and the people that lived on the river, and they've got a tremendous story to tell. So the contact person probably is Ruth Wiley, and I'm sure you're onto that as well. So yeah. So thank you very much for your presentation. Yeah. Outstanding.
Thank you.
All right. Right, councillors, let's go. Let's move on. What do? We need to move that we receive the community libraries report. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Fouts, Councillor Foster. All those in favour, please say aye. Or hands up. Unanimous. Thank you very much, girls. Great. Rightio. Item number 4 is corporate services report, and I'm just thinking. Who's speaking to that? That'll be Lily. Would you like to say something to that?
I've just got a couple of things. Just a comment on the community service awards. I've just had heaps of really good feedback, emails and everything from people that attended the awards saying how much they enjoyed it, and that how it was really good night sharing the community and acknowledging all those services people contribute to the community. So it was really good to hear that feedback. And on the funding schemes under 3.1 creative communities, I feel like I should just say that the funding round was supposed to close yesterday, and after discussion with the committee and councillors Payne and Foster, we extended it to tomorrow, Friday, just as we are waiting on one more application to let them get that in. And yeah, and the final thing I just want to touch base on is the Telford bursary. As seen on the report, we've got the 2 recipients, and I just like to share that they are very pleased with their bursaries, and they're going to be coming to the upcoming council meeting to formally receive their certificates. So other than that, I'm happy to leave as read. If there's any questions, I can answer
Thanks,
those.
thank you, thanks, Lily. Questions, councillors? Councillor Ludeman.
Can I just ask a question around the reimbursement of fees and charges for the Otago Jaguar Drivers Club? Did they meet the criteria? Because are they, you know, for being based in the Clutha district and everything? I'm just questioning that one.
Yes, they did meet the criteria. That one, I had a lot of doing with Jane Proctor because she helped me heaps on that since it was my first one. But yeah, it went all through and met all the.
Okay, thank you.
I have one further thing to add, just creative communities. I know I've had a conversation with Mel and John over extending the date actually for another couple of weeks. To date, we've only had one application. We know we've got a bit of money that we want to allocate. We're thinking it's COVID related, so we are waiting on a second one. But we have actually amongst ourselves talked about a 2-week, actually doing the close off for 2 weeks. I guess we wouldn't have to shift the decision time at all if there's only 2 or 3, but it was a question of whether it was going to make any difference or not. So Mel, you've got your hand up.
So Lily, you should have received that one from Lawrence. So does that mean we've got 2 now and we're waiting for a third one, or is it just two in total?
2 in total.
Oh, sorry. Oh, 2 in total, sorry. I went to the help desk. You might not have got it yet.
No, I haven't received it, but yeah,
okay.
I can Jane if I don't have it by tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly supportive of going another further 2 weeks just to acknowledge the situation we're in, I think, and try and generate a bit more interest.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. I think I'll give you an email tomorrow, Lily, if that's all right. We'll have a bit of a yarn about that and bring the whole committee in on that one. So,
yep, perfect.
Thanks. Rightio. All right, no further questions. We've got a recommendation, page 26, that the Corporate and Property Committee receives the Corporate and Services report. Got a mover and a seconder, Councillor Thompson, Councillor Ludeman. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Excellent. Those against? 0. So carried unanimously. Thank you. Rightio. Item number 5. We can keep rattling along now. It's back to you, John. Again, it's just an item for information, and it is the group manager's corporate and services doing the corporate properties update report. So, John.
Chair, I think we take it as read and see if there's any questions.
Okay. So, Councillor, take it. John's put it on the table, taken as read. Have we got some hands up? Have we got any questions? All's quiet on the front, so I take it that everyone's very happy with John's report here, in which case we'll ask for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Herbert, I'm guessing that was that you want to move. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Finch, any questions before I just close this off? I don't know because all the hands are up, but anyway, all those in favour, please say aye, put your hands up. And those against. And again, I'll just say, was there any further questions? Councillor, Your Worship, did you have a further question? Got his hand up.
Sorry, I sneezed. I couldn't get my hand down in time, but we've got her there.
Right. Okay, so that's moved. All those in favour, I think we voted on it, so it's all good. Yep, right. We're moving right along now. Couple to go. Item number 6, page 33, Development Properties Update Report. John, again, we throw this into your hands.
Take it as read and let's ask if there's any questions.
Rightio. Councillors, John's put it on the table, is read again. Questions? And your worship, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, either John or Steve. Just wondering, the item 4, Rosebank Terrace subdivision, it's coming into spring. Are we still set to see development going on that Rosebank subdivision imminently?
Well, you won't see construction through you, Mr. Chairman. You won't see construction in the next month or two. That would be fair to say. If we're going to see any construction, we would have to aim for, in the first half of next year. They've just done the geotech work, and the next step is to just finalise the documentation in terms of the design and that, to be able to get an understanding of the costs and to move to a next phase. So that's what we've got to deal with. Sorry, I'll get out of here.
Does he want to say something?
No, excuse me, language. He's wanting a walk, but that's fine. First half of next year is, if we can get construction for that would be great. But I'm aiming for getting the designs and the engineering related stuff done as soon as we can. And they should be backing into that design work now.
All right, further questions, councillors? I don't see any hands raised. Take it that everybody's happy with that. Does somebody like to move the recommendation? Councillor Herbert, your worship, seconding, and all those in favour, please raise your hand. Fantastic. Lower your hands, and those against? No one, so moved. Last but not least for the day, with the corporate and property, we have the Corporate and Property Committee Works Program Report. And John, do you want to speak to this, or?
No, take it as read, Chair.
Thank you, John. So again, councillors, if you'd like to comment, ask a question, now's your chance. Nothing. So again, we've got a recommendation on page 38. If we can have a mover and a seconder firstly. Councillor Foster, Councillor Graham, all those in favour, please say aye. Thank you. Again, motion is moved. I just so with that, I'll just thank you for your day. It has been a long day, so staff, councillors, everybody. I'll take some time in lieu tomorrow, which is, I'll just close the meeting. 6:25. Goodness gracious, 6:22.